Deep in the twisted heart of the Appalachians, two children, lost and shivering as the sun dips below the jagged horizon, stumble upon something that should never have been found. It is a glint of gold sticking out of the damp, black earth, a necklace, heavy and cold, featuring a small, perfect pearl that seems to pulse with a faint, rhythmic heartbeat when touched. As they pull it from the dirt, a hollow, metallic scraping sound echoes from beneath their feet, revealing a hidden trapdoor concealed by decades of rot and silence. They don't know that they've just stumbled onto the doorstep of a kingdom built on screams, and that the woman the world calls a saint has been waiting in the shadows for inventory like them to arrive. The air around them suddenly turns static, thick with the metallic tang of ozone and the unmistakable stench of a mass grave. As they peer into the jagged darkness of the hatch, the pulsing pearl in the boy's hand begins to bleed a viscous, black ichor that hums with the distorted frequency of 1,000 weeping voices. This isn't just a bunker. It is a parasitic vein of the King Network, a subterranean ritual site where the laws of physics and mercy have been surgically removed. From the lightless void below, a sound emerges, not a voice, but a rhythmic, synthesized mimicry of a mother's lullaby, vibrating through the very soles of their feet. Shadows begin to detach themselves from the trees, stretching toward the children like elongated, skeletal fingers, while the static on their dead cell phones clarifies into a single, terrifyingly familiar greeting. The Saint of Daytime isn't just watching, she is feeding, and the Appalachian fog is merely the shroud she uses to hide the industrial-scale consumption of souls. For 30 years, the most trusted face on television has worn a glowing smile like a ritual mask, hiding something cold, predatory, and not entirely human behind it. We were conditioned to believe Oprah Winfrey's proximity to traffickers, pedophiles, and baby farmers was merely bad luck, a tragic series of cosmic accidents. But the Epstein files have finally shattered that illusion, exposing a grotesque, industrial-scale subculture of consumption and human depravity. Hundreds of high-level elites and major companies are implicated in the files. And according to Epstein files investigators, one name connects them all. Oprah Winfrey, the daytime TV queen trusted in millions of homes, now faces explosive accusations from multiple Epstein survivors. They call her the broker, the secret architect allegedly moving vulnerable children into the hands of the world's most powerful monsters while the cameras were still rolling. Imagine sitting across from a woman who offers you a tissue while wearing the remains of your missing child as jewelry. This isn't just a conspiracy, it's a psychological horror story happening in real time. Survivors claim Oprah didn't just know Epstein, she was the architect. While she played the queen of daytime TV, she was allegedly funneling the vulnerable to the world's most powerful men. The most chilling part? The keepsakes. Sources say she wears gold-encrusted mementos, body parts taken from victims as high-fashion accessories while nodding sympathetically to grieving mothers on air. Before we descend further into this rabbit hole, hit subscribe to join our community. Oprah's public image is cracking. Her ties to Harvey Weinstein and Jeffrey Epstein are well documented, but the real horror lies in Brazil with John of God. She promoted this faith healer until he was sentenced to 370 years for running a global baby trafficking empire. New Epstein documents reveal a horrifying link. A survivor stated on record that Epstein offered her money to birth babies for the black market. She linked John of God directly to Epstein and Oprah. Was Oprah hiding in plain sight, normalizing the unthinkable? As she once said on her own show, in order for it to work, it has to be somebody you know, somebody you admire. If the abuser is any good, you won't even know it happened. Is she describing her own tactics? FBI insiders now suggest she wasn't just a friend to these monsters, she was their partner in crime. The rabbit hole goes deeper than private islands. We're talking about RICO-level conspiracies involving brands you use every day. Life Touch, the company that takes 90% of school photos. Files suggest they acted as a catalog for predators. Wayfair and Walmart. Remember those $100,000 cabinets with the names of missing children? The files suggest that wasn't a theory, it was a ledger. The Disney connection. Cruise ships packed with children routinely docked at Little Street James. Survivors recall seeing kids being inspected like inventory. Epstein even bragged that he owned a controlling stake in Oprah's network. using it as a cog in an elite blackmail machine. He envisioned an underground baby factory eugenics, on steroids where children were harvested for their blood and organs. The silence of the dead. The trail leads back to those remote farms in Brazil. Whistleblowers claim young girls were held captive for a decade, forced to produce babies for export, and then murdered once their utility ended. These girls were sold for £40,000 to elites in the US and Europe. Many who tried to speak out are now dead. But one survivor, speaking under the veil of anonymity, describes the highways of pain Oprah allegedly built. I saw the way her people moved. It was efficient, like they were delivering furniture. She'd walk through the rooms afterward like she was inspecting inventory. I saw the necklace, small, perfect pearls that weren't pearls. I wanted to scream. The tunnels beneath Zoro Ranch, deep under the scorched earth of New Mexico's Zoro Ranch. The silence is heavy with the weight of things that should not exist. This wasn't just a desert retreat. It was a high-tech laboratory for the unthinkable. Whistleblowers describe a cryogenic machine, where the natural cycle of life was halted for the sake of elite experimentation. Multiple sources, now emerging from the shadows of redacted DOJ files, place Oprah boots on the ground within these very tunnels. They don't describe her as a guest, but as a high priestess of the operation. While the world saw her receiving the Disney Legend Award, the Mouse House was allegedly sending cruise ships to snorkel in the blood-stained waters of Little Street James. The coordination required for this level of depravity suggests a RICO-level conspiracy that turns every boardroom into a hunting ground. In the cold, sterile hallways of the global elite, names like Bill Gates and Naomi Campbell appear like recurring ghosts in the Epstein logs. But their presence wasn't just for charity galas or tech summits. Whispers from the inner circle describe a darker synergy, a triangle of influence where Gates provided the data and the philanthropic cover. Campbell provided the scouted beauty from international runways, and Oprah acted as the emotional bridge, the one who made the unthinkable feel like an exclusive club. While Campbell was reportedly seen at the Brazilian compound of John of God, the broker was right there, smoothing the edges of reality. It's a psychological masterpiece, using the world's most famous supermodel and the world's most powerful nerd to shield a global harvest of the innocent. The black market of the soul. The horror drifts south to the remote hills of Brazil, where the air smells of ozone and old blood. Here, the miracle worker John of God operated a literal baby farm under the protection of his high-profile endorsements. Oprah described feeling faint and experiencing an overwhelming sense of peace in his presence, a classic psychological marker of a predator recognizing their own kind. Behind the gates of his retreat, young girls were reportedly held in a state of perpetual biological production, used as livestock for 10 years before being disposed of, to keep the secrets of the elite secure. These were not just crimes of opportunity. They were industrial-scale harvests, with newborns being priced at £40,000 for the global market, treated as nothing more than biological furniture for the world's sickest men. The catalog of the innocents. Perhaps the most terrifying aspect is how the mundane was weaponized. Dark psychology tells us that the best place to hide a monster is in plain sight, using the tools of everyday life. The Epstein files hint at a reality where school photo companies like LifeTouch were transformed into digital catalogs for the elite. Imagine a predator scrolling through a yearbook-style database, selecting inventory with the click of a mouse. Then there are the glitch listings on sites like Wayfair cabinets and pillows priced at 6 figures, bearing the specific names of children currently listed on missing persons databases. It wasn't a glitch, it was a ledger. This is the industrial scale of the horror. A world where your furniture, your school photos, and your favorite scents are all cogs in a machine designed to consume the innocent. To understand the true depth of the broker's influence, one must look at the space in between. This is where the paranormal meets the political. Figures like Marina Abramovich, the spirit cooker, weave through this narrative like dark threads in a tapestry. They didn't just want bodies. They wanted the essence, the adrenochrome, the terror, the life force harvested in the moment of ultimate fear. Whistleblowers who have seen the King Network from the inside describe it as a blackmail engine, fueled by the suffering of the voiceless. But the most haunting detail remains the silence. The elites don't just kill their enemies, they suicide them. erasing their existence from the servers and the soil. Tonight, the silence breaks. The highways of pain are being mapped, and they all lead back to the woman who told you she was your best friend. The Epstein drops are not just a list of names. They are a funeral for the world we thought we knew. From the baby factories of Brazil to the cryogenic labs of New Mexico, the evidence suggests a global elite that views humanity as a resource to be mined. Brave souls are stepping forward, risking everything to tell us that the Queen of Daytime was the one holding the keys to the kingdom of shadows. They talk about private jets with blacked-out windows landing at 3 a.m. and the efficient movement of inventory that would make a logistics expert weep. The floodgates are failing. The question isn't whether the truth will come out, it's whether you can handle the weight of it when it does. As the cameras dim and the studio lights fade to a bruised purple, a different kind of frequency takes over. Those who have been inside the inner sanctum claim that Oprah's gift isn't empathy, but a predatory form of spiritual mimicry. They describe a heavy, static-filled air that clings to the skin like wet wool, a paranormal residue left behind by the systematic harvesting of innocence. It is said that the tunnels beneath Zoro Ranch weren't just for storage. They were acoustic chambers designed to amplify the specific frequency of terror. This isn't just dark psychology. It is a form of sonic occultism where the screams of the inventory are recycled into the very charisma she uses to entrance millions. When she stares into the lens and tells you she loves you, she is allegedly projecting the stolen life force of those who can no longer speak. The most haunting detail isn't the gold-encrusted jewelry, but the way the jewelry seems to breathe. Survivors whisper that the broker doesn't just collect body parts, she collects echoes. In the dead of night, within the soundproofed walls of her many estates, the jewelry is said to emit a faint, rhythmic pulsing, a heartbeat that doesn't belong to the wearer. Hit subscribe